Learning to accept a new reality. For people who've been recently diagnosed with an autoimmune disease, there are usually a couple of common reactions. For some, the diagnosis has been a long time coming, with many expensive tests and doctor's visits. For these people, finally knowing the name of what ails them sometimes brings a feeling of relief. They now officially know the name of their illness and why they have felt so unwell lately. They are not losing their mind, and the symptoms they are experiencing are not a figment of their imagination, as, sadly, some would have them believe. Others may have been completely blindsided by their diagnosis. For the latter group of people, their descent into unwellness may have been quite rapid. They are often still trying to continue working and coping with their daily disease's worsening symptoms, wondering why everything of late seems so much harder to achieve. They are just plain exhausted. Whether you fall into the first or second category, the pressing question now is typically the same across the board. How am I going to manage this on a daily basis? Suddenly, there is a mountain of medical information presented to you, but you soon realize the doctors don't actually have a way to fix you and give you back the life you had before. Of course, there are a range of treatment options available to help manage your disease's symptoms and hopefully circumvent the damaging effects on your long-term health. Some of the medications, in the case of insulin, are necessary and life-saving. However, if you read the little white slip of paper in the pill box or Google the name of your prescribed medicine, the side effects can sound scary. However, laws state that all possible side effects must be mentioned in medical literature. Beware of getting too lost down the rabbit hole of online medical information sites. As we all know, the authenticity of some of that advice can be rather dubious in origin, and, in some cases, even harmful. Always remember you certainly do have the right to seek a second or even third professional medical opinion. At a time when you feel the walls of your world are perhaps closing in, just pause and take a breath or two. Remember, it's your health and your life. Choose to stay in the driver's seat. When it comes to taking care of yourself, ignorance is never bliss. There are suggested dietary changes and allied health professionals that you will need to consult on a regular basis, along with a host of other sudden and sometimes quite inconvenient things you must now consider. Things you didn't have to be concerned about in a life pre-diagnosis. Things you just took for granted. Suddenly, you've been thrown into a world full of new terminology, a world that you definitely wouldn't have signed up to visit. For people who have only felt unwell very recently, the life they've quite happily led up until now can suddenly look very different. Everything about you can feel like it's being viewed through a tinted grey lens. Suddenly, there's a need to have competent veins for ongoing blood work. Perhaps some food and drinks you previously enjoyed are now recommended to be avoided. There could be activity restrictions. Sadly, some people are strongly advised they need to seek a different type of occupation for their own and others' safety. Information overload at this point is a very real stress. I presently have a very supportive medical team. Sadly, during the past 50 years, this hasn't always been the case. It is vitally important to find medical professionals you can develop a rapport with, and whose advice you trust. If you find yourself avoiding wanting to speak with your specialist because of how it makes you feel, perhaps it's time to search elsewhere. Despite the extensive knowledge doctors and specialists have, it is a sad fact that they are time poor due to extremely busy schedules. The mental toll of what you are going through, because of the consultation time limitations, is often left to a few minutes of discussion.